get to downtown Phoenix, a third night of tension as frustration and anger over the death of George Floyd fuel rallies all across the nation. Just 24 hours ago, these rallies turned violent in Phoenix, and Phoenix's police chief sent a pretty clear message a little earlier, saying tonight people are free to protest and make their voices heard, but the violence will not be tolerated.
It's absolutely horrifying and it's absolutely unacceptable, which is why I close with, to be very clear, what we tolerated last night will not be tolerated today.
Now, thankfully, so far, things have appeared to be relatively peaceful. We do have team coverage for you throughout the next hour. We want to start, though, with ABC 15's Mike Pelton. He's live downtown for us tonight. Mike, where are you and how have things progressed since we last checked in?
Yeah, Danielle, we've logged a couple of miles here tonight. We're just turning west on Jefferson off of First Avenue. You can see hundreds of protesters moving down Jefferson. There's even more behind us here as the crowd is really kind of thinned out as we continue to go all throughout downtown Phoenix. Now, what has really happened tonight is the crowd did gather at Phoenix Police, and I should preface this with, it has remained entirely peaceful. Yes, some people have yelled at police officers, but we haven't seen anything thrown in the direction of officers or any of the non-lethal deterrents that officers use, pepper balls and the like. But what happened is the crowd had gathered around Phoenix Police headquarters at one point about an hour ago. Officers kind of cleared them out. They got in a line, moved them out of the area directly behind the police headquarters. And now what the protesters are doing is they started heading back toward the state capitol, where there was a very peaceful rally earlier this evening. But what some of the protesters in the front of the group wanted to do was find some areas that weren't barricaded off. So we've been walking down Van Buren in the middle of traffic, weaving in and out of cars, people just out on a Saturday night and having a protest kind of come right through their lanes of traffic. This has remained peaceful, and Danielle and Justin, you talk to some of these protesters, they say this isn't just about George Floyd, and it's not just about them. Some of the people we've heard speak tonight say they're doing this for their kids so they don't have to grow up afraid of the police. They're doing this not just because of George Floyd, but because of Dion Johnson, a man who was shot to death by a DPS trooper earlier this week, and the details, well, we still don't have a lot of them. Anyways, we're continuing to follow the crowd here, and again, we've been walking for a good hour. We're approaching 3rd Avenue. I know we're going to check in with you guys throughout the night, but so far, everything has remained very peaceful as people continue to chant and have their message heard tonight. Back to you guys.
All right.
Yeah, I'm Mike Pelton. We're here walking along with the protesters down Jefferson. That's the first water bottle we've seen thrown at police officers tonight. This has been a very peaceful protest. Literally, right as you guys came to us, that was the first time we've seen anything thrown at an officer tonight. Someone launched a water bottle. I think there's a second one at that police cruiser there in the middle of 7th Avenue in Jefferson. But a lot of people tonight have talked about they wanted this to be a calm and peaceful protest, not like what we've seen the past couple of nights, specifically last night. Now, this group that I'm with here has kind of weaved all throughout downtown Phoenix. We've logged a couple of miles as this group has gone down Van Buren, where traffic was still flowing. We walked right in between cars as they were trying to make their way westbound on Van Buren. But why are people out here? They'll tell you, the protesters I've talked to, they'll tell you this is not just about George Floyd. It's about Dion Johnson, who was killed earlier this week. It's about issues in communities across this country that don't span just the past couple of years, but the past couple of decades. Watch out, Kyle. My photographer is walking backwards. Want to make sure he's safe as we're trying to stay ahead of this large crowd, a couple hundred of people. But a couple of people tonight have said specifically, this is not just about them. They're doing it for their kids as well. And I'm going to leave you with this image right here as we continue to follow this group. All of them starting to kneel in the middle of 7th Avenue, just north of Jefferson, wanting the community to know these streets, this community, it's theirs too. Back to you guys.
Mike, I just want to ask, we've seen the group stopping. Is that why they're stopping to kneel multiple times in multiple places?
Yeah, Justin, I haven't seen them kneel like this before. We were just west of 4th Avenue along Jefferson, where the group kind of stalled out, gathered, and those at the front of the group all linked arms. People were taking pictures as they all linked arms, and then they kind of gathered there for a little bit, headed to this spot where now you're seeing everyone kneel. So I haven't seen them do this just yet, but they are periodically taking breaks, either just to gather or in this case, kneel. And as you can hear them saying, hands up, don't shoot.
Right, and our Mike Pelton, he has been downtown for us all late afternoon, all evening. He has been speaking with people who are there, who are protesting, who want their voices heard. Mike, how are things going where you are right now?
Danielle, in just the past 5 or 10 minutes or so, it's calmed down a little bit, but you've alluded to it. The Phoenix police chief earlier today said there were some things they were just not going to tolerate tonight, and that has been very clear. We've been dodging tear gas, fireworks, explosions. We've seen police officers, as some of the protesters try to get really close to the front of Phoenix Police headquarters, the officers will then deploy some of those non-lethal deterrents. We've seen paintball guns out here, smoke. We've had to rub our eyes. It's occasionally been difficult to breathe. But some of these protesters have kind of gone down different streets here, but I want to bring in Trey Shell, who's stuck around for us. Trey Shell, you just moved here from Oregon.
Yes, I did.
Why are you out here tonight?
I am out here because it matters. You have to make a difference in the world right now. You know, our people have been, we have tolerated enough. We have done enough, and we are here to peacefully protest. We are tired. We are here. We are here to make a difference. We're not looting. We're not breaking down stores. We're not destructing properly, but we are here to make a peaceful protest, to make our presence known, because it matters and it counts and our lives matter, and that's what matters.
Is this just about George Floyd?
This is about George Floyd. This is about every other person that's been victimized, every other person that's been discriminated against, every person that feels discriminated, that feels treated unfairly. This is for our people, for our kind. I'm half Native, I'm half Black, and I have it from both sides. So this is for everything. This is for everyone who cannot speak up for themselves. This matters, and it means something. And if you guys don't realize it, you will realize it now. We are tired. We're tired.
Rachel, I really appreciate the
time.
time.
We're tired, and I appreciate you as well. Thank you.
And then, guys, I don't know where the protesters went after some of those rounds exploded in front of Phoenix Police headquarters. I mean, there's different groups around here, so we're going to try to figure out where the bulk of the protesters have gone, and we'll check back in with you throughout the night. Back to you guys.
All right. Yeah, our Mike Pelton, he is up the way in Phoenix, in downtown Phoenix. He has been following the protesters all night. Actually, you've walked a couple of miles with these protesters. What is the scene right now? Where are they headed?
Yeah, at least a couple miles, Justin. Right now, we're back in the intersection of 7th Avenue and Van Buren. You might remember we were here about 90 minutes ago or so. Traffic, as you can see to your left here, is trying to head westbound, but you have all these protesters who are here in the middle of the road. Now, these protesters are north of the police station and walking down Van Buren because, as my colleague John Genovese has been detailing, we were there earlier as well. You had kind of that standoff and confrontation with police officers outside of headquarters, where anytime some of those protesters tried to get really close, some of them were throwing fireworks, and then police officers would then fire back with some non-lethal deterrents. Saw some paintball guns, loud explosions, tear gas, and then this crowd, the bulk of which we're with right now, kind of went to the sidelines, tried to figure out what to do, and has now started marching in the streets within about a half mile of the Phoenix Police headquarters. So we're heading east on Van Buren right now. Traffic is trying to get through, can't really do that. But this part of the protest right here, it was not super peaceful about 30 minutes ago. It has since calmed down. We're hearing chants again as people try to get their message across. This is right now much more calm than we saw about half an hour ago. I'm not sure exactly where they're headed. We're going to try to get to the front of this group, guys. And as we figure out where this group specifically is headed, we'll check back in with you. Back to you guys.
All right, we do want to check in with Mike Pelton really quick. Hey there, Mike.
Yeah, hey Justin. So I think if I heard John Genovese correctly, he was talking about the crowd scaling down outside Phoenix Police headquarters. That's because we're with a bulk of the protesters who have since left the police building after there was that confrontation that lasted about half an hour, where there was tear gas. Some of the protesters threw fireworks. It became a really tense situation for about 30 minutes. This is the group of protesters who finally figured out that they're not going to have a lot of success tonight getting really close to the police headquarters building. So they've since started to take off throughout downtown Phoenix, and they're now heading east on Washington, just past Central. Unclear exactly where we're all headed, but we're continuing to follow them, and once we figure that out, Justin, we'll get back with you.
Out there. Let's go to Mike Pelton. He is outside Talking Stick Resort Arena. What's going on there, Mike?
Yeah, Justin, what we've seen now is this is the crowd that basically gave up on protesting right out front of the police headquarters. They've since been making their way down and through streets throughout downtown Phoenix. What they've been doing is they've been taking over some of the intersections where traffic is trying to get through, but they've been kneeling. We just, when they shut down this intersection right here, they were yelling "Justice for Dion." And now they've taken to the plaza near Talking Stick Resort Arena, and they're continuing now to push east on Jefferson. Again, all of this, most of this group was at police headquarters earlier when there was that big confrontation that you've heard John Genovese talk about. We were over there as well. And then this large group here was trying to kind of figure out what to do for a while when police just weren't letting them get near the headquarter building. That's when we saw some protesters throw fireworks, and then some of the officers deploy the non-lethal rounds, pepper balls, tear gas, and the like. So this group, we don't really know where they're headed. We've just been kind of following right in the middle of the group for about 45 minutes now. And Justin, as I said, we're heading east along Jefferson, just in front of Talking Stick Resort Arena. And since this group has left Phoenix Police, it has calmed down significantly. This is in the past 30 minutes or so, been a really peaceful protest. Again, they're shutting down the intersections, but remaining peaceful when they do so, yelling "Justice for Dion" and chanting some other things as well as they try to spread their message tonight.
Mike,
back to you guys.
I have a question for you. We've seen the bulk of police outside, Phoenix headquarters, kind of in that area along 7th Avenue. Is there a large police presence in this part of downtown as well?
No, I have not seen a police officer in a little while. Doesn't mean, of course, there's not some officers that we can't see, but since we've left Phoenix Police, went down Van Buren, worked our way east, and now down Jefferson, I haven't seen a lot of officers, especially where we're at right now. And we know that some of the protesters earlier in the night were trying to figure out which roads were blocked off, where the police were, which had barricades, and kind of how they could navigate through the city. And then that's how you end up on Jefferson heading east of Talking Stick Resort Arena. So I'm not sure if there's officers in this crowd, but they're certainly not very visible at this point.
All right. Mike Pelton out there in downtown Phoenix outside Talking Stick Resort Arena. Be careful out there, Mike. We have a new video coming in from the city of Phoenix. These are live images coming in. I think, Joey, you said that we have a fire in Phoenix. This is Fashion Square. We're trying to get that popped up for you. Here we go. This is downtown Phoenix. Not sure this looks like this is in the Talking Stick Resort Arena, the Banquet Ballpark.
There we go.
Chase Field. There we go. Yeah. So that fire, new construction. That's actually a new apartment complex, a new high-rise apartment complex that they are building in that location. So you can see they're trying to light stuff on fire. Mike Pelton, I don't know, Joey, if we can go to Mike, if he can walk us through what's happening. But Mike was saying this is an area that didn't have a lot of police officers. The concentration was down kind of by police headquarters, the state capitol, 7th Avenue. This over here, more along the Chase Field area, Talking Stick Resort Arena. Okay, we do have Mike. Mike Pelton is there. Mike, what can you tell us? What's happening right now?
Of 3rd Street in Jefferson, a lot of the protesters came running, up 3rd Street, and then off in the distance, you might be able to see some of those police officers who have since forced the protesters down the street. So we're continuing to back up. We can't see flames anymore at the construction site, so it looks like the fire is out, best we can tell. But we had seen a bunch of people jump over the fence into that construction site over the past 20 minutes, and then flames started coming from some part of that site. Now all the protesters are starting to head north and kind of leave this area. But I believe that was tear gas that was just deployed out there along Jefferson. And Kyle, if you turn around, you can, off in the distance, the police, more than a dozen of them heading east on Jefferson, clearing out some of those protesters. You can hear that loud explosion in the background. That might be a firework right there. No, that's tear gas. We've seen a lot of fireworks over the past 15 minutes as well, with protesters tossing fireworks as we get, right in the eyes. Hey guys, we're going to try to get another block up here and we'll check back in with you, but this has escalated quickly over the past 10 minutes. Had been peaceful for a solid half an hour, and now especially after that fire started, things really kind of escalated quickly here.
Mike, we want you to get to safety, get somewhere a little more out of the fray there. We'll check back in with you as things go. But I think we're starting to see, so we want to get back to ABC 15's Mike Pelton. We want to check in with him once again. Mike, we left you a little earlier. It seemed that you'd gotten caught up in some tear gas. First off, how are you doing, and what's happening now where you are?
Oh, we're okay, Danielle. When you saw us earlier, there was a fire that broke out at a construction site near 3rd Street in Jefferson. That fire, once we left that area, we didn't see flames any longer, but there was some tear gas, so that kind of pushed the crowd further back. We are now seeing a bunch of police officers here near 3rd Avenue in Washington. We had been following kind of a small group of protesters, about 50 of them, heading west on Washington. All of those police officers you just saw drive by aren't coming for the group that we're with. You can see them right here. They've been chanting. They were just chanting towards some of the officers at City Hall. So honestly, I have no idea where those police officers went to. We're gonna try to walk around the corner, see if we can't see anything, because Danielle and Justin, as you guys saw, it has been pretty quiet where we're located. And then right as you came to us, all of a sudden about a dozen police officers went driving quickly down the street. And here they are. You can see them getting out of the vehicles down here.
Where are you, Mike?
This is City Hall to your right, just for reference.
I was going to say...
We're just west of City Hall. So we're at 3rd Avenue in Washington. That's City Hall. That's where about 50 protesters just walked that direction west. You can see the end of the tail end of that group right there. And Justin, what's happening is, remember about 2 hours ago when there was that confrontation at outside Phoenix Police Headquarters? Well, the group, what was at one time a really large group, kind of split in half. And then those groups have since split in half again. So you have a lot of different groups all over the city of Phoenix. We're kind of following them as best we can. But we've seen a lot of officers now start to stage on the northwest corner or just northwest of City Hall. Unclear what they're preparing for. But again, some of these groups are starting to split in half. And when we talked to you last time, about half an hour ago, when there was that tear gas and the fire, that also kind of split some of those groups. So you have multiple smaller groups all around Phoenix, and we're trying to keep tabs on what's going on, exactly where it's all taking place, as our police, which is why you saw them speed down that street right there.
All right, our Mike Pelton. We do have Mike Pelton. He is standing by in downtown Phoenix. Mike, where are you and what are you seeing?
Yeah, and Justin, bear with me for just 1 second here. We're kind of working our way through a pretty big crowd, 1st Street in Washington. And what just happened is, and I want to show you this. Bear with me 1 second, Justin. This whole crowd just sprinted east, I think because there's some police officers down here. But I want to show you this. Bear with me, we're working our way. Yeah, there's a group of officers down there. Not sure what happened, but the group started to run.
Mike, we're having
Here's
a hard
all the
time
damage.
hearing you.
I wanted to show you. Hey, can you hear us?
That's better.
Okay, Justin?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. You can see officers just a block to our west marching down the street. A big group of people just ran to the east. There's people breaking out the windows. Sorry, we're kind of our heads on a swivel right now. Yeah, people are throwing stuff all over the place. There are windows smashed. I don't know what building this is, Justin. Northwest corner of Washington, I think 1st Street.
That's Renaissance
Windows
Square.
are smashed all down here. You can see some of the glass. You can see some of the glass right there on this building as people have just been throwing items towards these windows for the past 10 minutes or so. Now, to be fair, there have been people when some of this has happened. And we got a gentleman yelling that this isn't somebody involved in the protest. So you have people trying to stop it, saying that the people who are committing violence are not the ones who are here to protest and peacefully protest. And we have seen a lot of people peacefully protesting throughout the evening. They've been kneeling in the intersection. But just in the past 10 minutes, we've seen people start to break windows. There's shattered glass all down the street there. We've seen people start to spray paint along the side of the road and on the sidewalk. So we have seen more property damage over the past 10 minutes or so. Some people, yes, are definitely trying to stop it. And you had that one gentleman just come up to me and say it's not part of the protest. Nevertheless, Justin, as sunlight comes up again, there's going to be property damage throughout downtown Phoenix. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike, for that update. Looks like I spoke a little too soon in saying that we didn't see as much property damage. Hopefully that's the extent of it going into these overnight hours, or really early morning at this point as we approach 1 a.m.
Let's as this protest continues, we are now in hour 6 of this protest. Started tonight at 7 o'clock, peaceful. It has since escalated.
Yes, and our coverage will continue online, abc15.com, our mobile app, and of course, ABC 15 Mornings tomorrow will also pick up with live reports. Thank you for joining us tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.